Hello everybody, name's Corydon, and today I wanted to show you a video on a hero analysis for Heiner. I'm just going to go over the basics and not go into anything too in-depth here, because someday I'd like to make a hero guide that highlights every single node they can do in adventure mode, and all the events they get. But today I just wanted to touch on how you should build him basics with the decks, the perks, what you should go for, what you should look out for, and I also wanted to highlight how you should build him in Obelisk mode and the Weeklies. So, first things first, Heiner. He is the king of tanks. Not really the king of tanks because he's varies a bit, but he is the king of getting up block, protecting your other allies, and pretty good. Although his biggest weakness is his 13 speed right here, which is probably even less when I go through the perks, because without perks he might even be like 12 or 11. He starts out with a really nice item that gives him a +1 block charge whenever he blocks, and plus 5% resistances. You don't want to neglect the plus 5% resistances on that, because resistances are very good. His initial cards, most of them are pretty good. Heat Laser gives him taunt, some extra fortify, even though he starts with some fortify from his trait, which I'll get to. Shield Charge, which is really amazing damage when you're building up block. Sunder Armor, which is a good way of applying vulnerable, does quite a bit of damage on the front monster, but this one is a card you might want to swap out pretty early. Bluff lets you draw, and you can upgrade it to draw for free, although it's a little bit expensive, so you probably want to skip or avoid upgrading that until you get a free upgrade through a corruptor or just have the shards to do it. Steel Skin's alright. It does give you reinforce, and without perks, that's going to be one of your few sources of reinforce on Heiner. Intercept, block for a hero. There's a really cheap alternative to this called Repair Armor, which I'm going to show you later, and you'll probably want to replace the intercepts with that. And Guard, you can place on any hero, including yourself, to give Fortify, which is very good. You'll want to consider that, keeping these in your deck. As for his traits, he starts out with Unbreakable, which gives him 2 Fortify, and all heroes 10 block, which is really good, and this block is affected by perks and items. So just by default, you're getting 11 block on everybody. And with perks, you'll be getting up to like 20 some block on everybody at the start of combat, which is really, really nice. Especially if you're going to be going slow, so you're going to need it. For choosing between his level 2s, you get Reactive Laser and Steel Forge. Steel Forge is the one I want to highlight first because it's a more obvious choice for playing him as a tank. Whenever you block a hit fully, that means you completely block the hit. You're going to give all heroes some fortify and some block, and this block charges is also affected by plus charges, so you're automatically giving 7 block to everybody with his unique item and the plus 3 charges from that. And with perks it goes up to about, I'd like to say like 18 or 14 block, so definitely something to consider when you're building for a tanky build. Reactive Lasers is really fun, as it gives you 10 uses of whenever you block, you deal damage to all monsters, and all your damage turns to fire damage. Works really well with heroes like Cornelius, and also Evelyn, because she's often doing a bunch of fire resistance debuffing. And then we've got a choice between Defense Mastery, which lowers the cost of all your defense cards by 1 until discarded, which is really good. Anything that saves energy is amazing. And Iron Furnace, whenever you play an attack guard, gain +1 fire damage to your hero, which is combat permanent, but not permanent. It's not going to carry over to the next combat, but it is going to last the rest of the combat you're in and give you 8 block every time you use any attack card. Defense Mastery is a choice I would choose here in most cases. Level 4 is a really interesting choice, as you get Last Guardian, which makes Heiner a super tank and gives him almost an extra life when he gets damaged below 25%. Also works really well if he gets his block purged, since this will trigger. And Fusion Laser, which is just amazing in general. I would even play it in tanky builds, because whenever you play a card, for the next 3 times you play a card, for every energy used, you deal 7 damage and apply 3 burn, and 1 vulnerable to all monsters. But what you want to do is grab the plus vulnerability perk when you get the chance, or find a plus vulnerability item. So you can play a 3 energy card and get 6 vuln on everybody, or you can play a 4 energy to get 8, 5 energy to get 10, which is a max vulnerability. Amazing card for helping out your DPS. And dead things can't damage you, so it's actually really amazing for staying alive, because you kill them before you get killed. His level 5, you get a choice between Tireless, which is energy regen +1, and immunity to fatigue, which some monsters do. There's a Shadow Cloak, or don't want to spoil the last fight, but there's some things in the final fight and some champions inflict the status effect on you where you'll gain 1 less energy per turn, and this counteracts that really nicely. And Indomitable, when you fully block a hit, gain shield, and do half the damage you block. I usually pass on this one. I just don't find it that great. If you do end up picking this one, you'll probably want the perks that increase your shield effectiveness, so you're getting much more shield from blocking a hit rather than just basic half whatever you block. As for perks, let's jump into those quick. I've got 2 builds here, one with Madness and one where you're just going with tankiness. And without Madness, I usually don't, if you're not playing in Madness, you don't really need to pick up the shards and gold perks, as you'll just get way more value out of selecting perks and just being able to carry over chest runs from previous runs. And if you didn't know, when you play on higher Madness, you lose access to your chest and supplies that you can sell, so you don't have infinite gold and shards potentially. Now, with what I do with those perks, you usually want to get all resistances, and then also all his block charges perks here. Very, very nice in both cases. Health, not so important as the resistances in that. You'll definitely want to pick up the energy perks, as those are going on every single hero in the game. There's like no reason never to pick the. Spend 4 perk points on this +2 energy. Speed is optional, but I usually like having Heiner go a little bit faster over enemies. And we'll go head over to the physical perks. After you get the block charges, this is a really good perk to get. You'll start out with 1 reinforce every combat, and reinforce won't be able to be purged, which is amazing. This will make your Heiner survive much more stuff, especially on the first turn. Very good with corruptors and everything. I usually get the +1 vulnerable charge perk, which is really good on almost every tank because there's a lot of assistant cards. Fusion lasers does well with it. Don't really grab these other 2. You'll want the reinforced charges over these other 2 perks, because that will apply to reinforce at the start of combat, which makes it last longer, and also makes reinforce group-wide buffs last longer on everybody in the party. Fortify charges, definitely want that. Make yourself immune to fortify being purged, also want that. Taunt, you don't need to pick up this perk, but I'm deciding to recommend this one because of the gold box perk down here, where you can increase your holy, shadow, and mind resistances by 10% per charge. This is insane because Heiner's biggest counter is a endgame enemy where he does shadow and mind damage to you based on your block, or not shadow and mind, but shadow and crushing damage, blunt damage based on your block charges. So this will mitigate that by a whole lot, like insane amount of damage mitigation right there. So you definitely want to get that up there and running for keeping your Heiner alive through even the stuff that counters him. These are optional, but I picked these up if you're running with a healers and mages that play these cards. Actually, no, these are very valuable. They're valuable on their own, so even if your mages and priests aren't running the start with insulate and courage, you'll want to pick these up because you'll start with Courage and Insulate on the first turn, and they can't be purged. And the nice thing about starting with these on the first turn is if you decide to pick a hard corruptor like Meteorites, this is going to just completely decimate the damage that Meteorite does to you on the first turn. Or it's called Armageddon, but every turn enemies get a Meteor Shower card they can play. So this is going to keep your Heiner alive on that first turn where he's not going to be going first. And it's good for just not going first in general. These 3 perks over this one, and this one where you start out with the Reinforce, Insulate, and Courage. If you don't feel like starting out with the Insulate and Courage and you find yourself survivable enough, I would definitely pick up these Fire perks here. I wouldn't get anything higher than that. I'd just get the 2 Burn Charge perks and maybe even, yeah, 2 Burn Charge perks, and then apply the extra points to this health over here. And I'm going to probably export these and post them in the description if you want to copy these without having to just go through and look these up yourself. Thorns is also a good choice because there's a card called Stockade, which is really good to get. And you can put Thorns build on pretty much anybody. So let's go through that. Let's see if load this perk configuration. For Higher Madness, it did not work, unfortunately. For Higher Madness, I would probably just do the same stuff. You might want to swap out the Vulnerable if you're not going to be applying Vulnerable, and maybe the Taunt perks for some shards and gold. You can also easily just swap out some speed for gold as well and shards to make your deck and be able to buy stuff in town for the Higher Madness levels. And then other perks I wanted to highlight is perks you will want your group to get. Oh, actually first, one more perk to possibly highlight is this Mark perk down here, where your hero's immune to Mark. It'll help on a lot of fights where Heiner is in the front line taking a lot of Mark from enemies that do put Firebrands in your deck and also Mark the tank. So making your hero immune to Mark will also make your Heiner a lot more survivable. And then the other perks I wanted to highlight were over here in Mystical. If you're playing with a Maluka who's applying a lot of regen, you'll definitely want to pick up this perk or somebody in the party will want to pick up this perk. Probably Maluka herself. Where regeneration on heroes increases shadow resistance by 5.5% per charge and does not lose charges at the start of turn. And if you're playing with Maluka or Otis, you'll want to get this Vitality perk, where Vitality on heroes increases mine resistance by 0.5% per charge. And then if you're playing with a Reginald who is giving the group bless, I would also have somebody in the group run with this bless on heroes increases holy resistance. That's pretty much how you make the tankiest Heiner you can. If you're going for the tanky Heiner, probably go for these immunity to Mark. What do I draw for that? Hard decisions all around. Maybe even swap the taunt perk for the immunity to Mark. Since you can't really, actually, I think I could drop. No, I can't drop that. I should be able to, but I'm not. Either way, perks are a little messed up right now, but you'll get the gist of it. So, what I do want to do next is head into town and let's go talk about decks and cards. So let's go ahead, and I believe I have a save in town already. I do. And let's look at the decks I have for you today. I think I already made a Heiner deck for this one. This one cost about, I think, 800 shards, 900 shards. The cheaper Heiner deck. The cards you're going to be wanting to look into are Repair Armor as replacements for Intercept. They're pretty cheap to craft, and they dispel Mark on your other heroes and give them a bit of Reinforce, which will increase your survivability quite a lot. Insanely good to put on your back heroes in the early acts, as this will keep them alive through the assassin gnolls that will jump your heroes in the back and mark them at the same time. Guard is something you want to keep up. New cards. I also add White Intimidates. This works with the mark perks, but also a good way to apply vulnerable for free. And these cards burn, so you're only going to play them once, and you'll be able to shuffle through your deck faster to get the more important cards you want to get. I also decided to add a coat of arms in there. It's a good way to dispel vulnerable from yourself and get reinforce or fortify if you go the other route. And then I kept one Sunder Armor in there as well, which is probably something you'll want to remove when you get better cards. Better cards include, we'll go to, cards you want to look out for this deck is Stockade. It's a good card to include in there to replace Sunder Armor. Both the upgrades are good if you want a little bit of Vitality, which heals everybody in the group by 5 at base, or if you want more Thorns, deal more damage to enemies, especially enemies with like Storm and attack all. Stockade is insanely good. Entrench is another card you want to look out for and possibly craft the upgrades for, because this will give all heroes block, shield, and fortify. Battle Plan, another great card to go through. Battle Shout, another great card to get. Let's see what else we have in the rare card section. Blood Rage is always pretty good. It hurts you a little bit, but getting the energy is very insane. Carnage, very good for applying vulnerable on bosses, so your DPS is doing much better damage. And Ground Slam, also pretty good. Shield Charge, definitely very good. Shield Slam, I do recommend this card, but many people won't like it because it has you purge your shielding. But what's neat is, if you ever find a purple upgrade to this card, which I will show you in a bit, you don't purge your armor when you play it, and you're slowing all enemies. This yellow version is actually really good because it slows all enemies, and the purple version will let you deal a hell ton of damage to everything on the map and not lose your armor. But losing your armor is usually fine when you're playing a shield slam like this, because a couple of the enemies are dying when you're hitting them with 200 damage shield slams through everybody's face. Durable, this is another pretty good card. Making any enemy you want go last is great. And the upgrade where it chains is also great. And those would be the cards I recommend. There's also a legendary card that's really fun to get. You won't be able to craft it, so we'll go to the Totem of Knowledge and take a look at it. Let's see here. Last Stand, it's not a legendary, but it's a fun card to craft. You're able to draw defenses from your draw pile and put them in your hand at major discounts. This one lets you draw 3, or this one lets you draw 2 higher cost ones and put them in your hand and they cost 0. And really good ones to pair with that yellow Last Stand is a card called Citadel. And Citadel will let you do insane things to all your heroes, apply Mitigate, Fortify, and Block. This is just like an I win the game card. I believe that's everything. Bouncing Shield is a ton of damage if you're running a very high block Heiner. And I did want to highlight the Shield Slam quick. Push Forward is also a pretty decent card to get. It makes everybody faster, but you're usually not going to be picking up the fast perk with Heiner. Something to consider if you do happen to get a fat Push Forward from the Divination is go up and switch your perks to grab that fast perk. Alright, Shield Slam. Let's go ahead and look at this purple version here. It's just beautiful. Deals 0.5 block and damage and applies slow and doesn't purge your block. Chef's kiss on that one. And so probably what I want to talk about next is heroes that work really well with Heiner. Andrin / Gustav both work really well with Heiner because they can control the speed of the combat quite a bit with their Songs of Celerity and other speed control options they have. Wilbur works pretty well, or any of the mages if they take Shock Nova. And for the 2 healers you want to use with Heiner, Maluka's insanely good because of her perks. or level ups that allow her to give vitality to heroes and regeneration. But it's mostly this love enhancer card right here, which will increase Heiner's max HP to like 200, 300, 400. And Mojo as well works really well with Heiner. And then Zek, I have him here simply for a meme. And I'm going to show you that meme right after I go back here to the main menu. And at the main menu, I just wanted to go into looking at Otis. He's another great hero to pair with Heiner. And Otis is great here to pair with Heiner because he's going to be providing a lot of shielding and healing through those shields. And when you apply a shield to Heiner, it just makes him so much more tankier and makes him work so much better when he's getting another hero applying shields to him. Heiner also works really well pairing with another fighter that also buffs his block. So that's also a fun combination you could always do. If you're working with Otis, his Unwavering Faith is insanely good, increases your max HP quite a bit. Defense Mastery makes all his defense cards insanely good. Double Bubble makes defense cards even better. And Dome of Light will also apply even more shield to Heiner, just making your party unkillable. Now the fun thing I wanted to show off Zek real quick, or Zek quickly, is Zek has the special ability at altar nodes in the map, these right here. If he has a lot of curse cards or the golden horseshoe, you're able to click this and go to this event right here. And this will allow you to get purple cards. And with how I was talking about Shield Slam before, a purple Shield Slam, you can risk it. I meant to actually put in 400 additional shards for that, so let me go back and show that off again. Not the save. We want to corrupt the altar. And I think even giving up 20 max health to make this even a higher chance is worth it. And this is going to get you purple shield slams, guaranteed. You might go for the speed as well. So just a guaranteed 100% chance, roll the dice. And Heiner now has a purple shield slam in his repertoire. And that's going to be guaranteed every run if you run with Zek, which is going to lead to a lot of fun runs. So looking forward to doing that myself with a couple friends. You can even try to chance a few other cards that you're not looking forward to, or not planning to keep. Purple Stockade is also insane, we might as well chance that. If you do fail these events, you get a Void Memory card, which is pretty much an injury, your card gets deleted, and you have to wait to remove that card. So let's try, let's just throw an Intimidate out there as well. Or Bluff. Bluff is very good. Unlucky. Alright, that's what I wanted to show off there. And now we're going to move into the final section of this video, which is going into Obelisk / Weeklies. This weekly does have Heiner in it. So we're going to go ahead and start a game and just go through Heiner's cards real quick on that. Avengers, sometimes a good choice when you get this purple shield charge option. Marauders, pretty decent. But the packs you're going to want to look for are Guardian and Warlord. Defender's pretty good as well. Anything that just gives you group block. Defender can give you the option for Entrench. Guardian and Warlord give you the option for Stockade, which I find Stockade a lot more valuable in Obelisk runs, but Defender will also get you Entrench, which is very good for Weeklies and Obelisk. Let's go ahead and pick Guardian. Commander is also the premium pack you want to look for and possibly get, because it can get you push forward for free. So let's go ahead and grab another Guardian, and let's look for zero cost bluff is good. So, ooh, purple safeguard's not bad. I'm always gonna take the Stockade over that for the weekly, though. And usually you want to gear your Heiner up like so. I usually give him speed, Thorns if I pick up Stockade, Vulnerable, and Block Charges. If I don't pick up Thorns, though, via Stockade, I will usually go for either Slow, HP, Reinforce, or all resistances. But these three are pretty much guaranteed every time on Heiner. So let's actually back out of that and head into Obelisk mode and do a few sample drafts as well. We'll throw Otis in there too, just to go through what you want to pick for Otis, usually in Obelisk mode, to pair with Heiner. Alright, so Heiner, we're definitely going to want it. This is a pretty good Guardian, I'll pick that. Not a great Guardian, not a great Defender, not a great Brawler, so we're going to roll for either Warlord or Commander packs. And we got a Commander pack. We're definitely going to want to pick that up. And that's a great helping hand. Battle Shout, Battle Plan, also very good, so we're going to pick Commander as well. And Heiner is going to start out as Throw Bolas. This is a very good card for Obelisk / Weeklies. And then, of course, I didn't get... This one I'm actually going to consider powerful. And then get the block chance and vulnerable as well. And for Otis, you just look through his cards. You're going to want cards that give shielding, which I forget what they're called at the moment. Justicar is always an amazing pick with Otis, even if you're going for a shield build. So I'm going to actually just pick that there. And then we're actually looking for... Didn't get any. Unfortunate. And didn't get the good card out of Justicar either. Alright, let's go do another draft. Alright. See how we draft Heiner this time. Brawler, pretty good choice. Defender, We're gonna go through and look for Warlords. Because I really want to showcase the Warlord picks. They're so valuable. This one, we didn't get any options on the 6 there. Don't want to pick Defender because Defend, Intercept, and Base Barricade are all pretty bad cards. We're just going to want to reroll those. And Avengers, not that great here. We're going to go for the Purple War Paint. Just because it's a free card that gets out of our deck. And we did not get any really good defensive cards. I'd still run this draft, though, because of Purple Ground Slam. Run these two. And I'd probably run Resistances with this draft. Otis, go again quickly with him. Justicar, Protector. Protectors are the packs you want when you're running Otis with Heiner. And then Healing Rain just to get a 1-cost draw, Dispel Fire, and Dispel Magic. And this is right hard. Here is a card you usually want to pick up with Otis. Pain Suppression also really good. And those are some sample drafts. I'm going to do one more with Heiner and not touch Otis, even though it's addicting to touch Otis. Don't take that out of context, please. Do not take that out of context. I said nothing. Ooh, this is actually a tough choice here because you get a upgraded Piercing Howl, Commander, Intimidate, and Barbed Wire. I'm actually going to run for the Warlord because I value Stockade a little bit more. And I'm running with Andrin, who's usually going to be handling the speed in this party. Nothing here that's defensive. Roll past that. Warlord with a purple, yes please. Nothing here that's defensive. Avenger, kind of defensive. And then we'll run Brawler just because that is bluff and you can just get a free draw out of that. And Stockade. Either one works. I'm actually going to go for the higher Thorns count one on this one because I have Otis and I trust Otis's healing. So we'll go ahead and just go through that. Probably the Vulnerable gets Thorns and your Heiner's all set up to carry you through Obelisk and Weeklies like that. And I believe that's all I wanted to touch on for this video. If you have any other heroes you want to see next, I'll probably do one of the comments below if you end up commenting, or just send me a message on Discord with a hero you'd like to see. And thanks for watching, and have a wonderful night, or day, or whatever time it is. Thank you so much for support, and enjoy Across the Obelisk.